Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Fumble Sports Daily Sports Betting Show. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. Appreciate you joining us. We have a lot to get to over the course of our next show. So make sure you follow us. Make sure you're joining us. 2 hours of sports betting, fantasy sports, all the analysis done right in front of you. All the information that you guys need across Instagram Live, TikTok Live, and YouTube. So excited to get into this day of sports. No hockey tonight. Last night was the Game 7. No hockey tonight. But we do have an NBA Western Conference Finals tip-off for Game 1 between the Lakers and the Nuggets. Super excited about that. And of course, another great slate of MLB action. We will get to the immediate point. What's up, Alexander? Great to see you today. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Alexander, I bet you had a pretty good night last night because Alexander, one of our usual viewers, he tends to fade us. And last night, we were worth fading. So we'll jump right into what happened last night for us. It was our worst day thus far of the show. I will admit, we've had really good days thus far. This was not one of them. Struggled, unfortunately. And a lot of it had to do with us believing in, one, the New York Mets. Learned our lesson there. Learned our lesson about the New York Mets. As well as we also learned our lesson about taking the Red Sox on the money line. The Red Sox bats didn't wake up. Funny enough, I really like two aspects of that game. I like the over and I like the Red Sox. The Red Sox didn't hit. The over did. We just put out the Red Sox as the pick, so we have to eat it. That said, you go through our results, our worst day, our first day with a sub 500 record. So for all of those who watched yesterday, I hope you were entertained because we certainly didn't come through like we normally do. Irving, we missed on hockey entirely. We thought that Game 7 was going to have a lot of scoring based off of the action between the two teams. No, they played a much different game than we anticipated. But that said, that day goes into the past. As you can see, this is the results that we've had over the last 4 days. So we finally had a bad day. That's how we're going to bounce back. We're going to continue to look towards the research, look towards the trends, and we're going to make the most of today. So appreciate all of you joining us. And of course, IP Shade comes on and immediately just dominates and throws up a ton of confetti. So we owe you a ton of picks right off the bat. So let's get into it. And let's actually get to one of my favorite picks of the day. And then we're going to rant a little bit. We'll get into some other things. But because IP Shade 45 came in with a ton of excitement, a ton of energy, and dropped a ton of confetti over us, we want to make sure we put the past behind us and we give out some picks and have some fun today. Appreciate all of you guys being with us. Make sure you hit that follow button. Make sure you're following Fumble Sports no matter what platform you're watching on, TikTok Live, Instagram Live, or YouTube. Make sure you're hitting that follow button. So, anyways, Guerra only up from here, can only do better on tonight. And user 29, we're going to start right there. We are going to put out a pick. Just IP Shade, you're awesome. Thank you so much for the support. Certainly appreciate you doing that. Unbelievable. You're too nice to us, and we certainly appreciate it. That said, I do want to give out a pick about this game tonight. It isn't going to necessarily be a very profitable pick, but it is my favorite play of the day related to this game in terms of the outcome. I'm just making sure here I got the odds right. I'm going to put it up on the board. I like the Denver Nuggets to win this game. I got Nuggets on the money line. I see it's at minus 230. I'm just putting that out there right now. It is one of my favorite picks of the day. There is not a doubt about it. So with that said, Denver Nuggets on the money line. I know it's at 230. You may want to use it as a parlay play across a number of our other things. But that said, really like this play today. LRK425, great to see you today. Alexander, great to see you. Alexander, I like your thinking about the Lakers in the first half. I'm thinking differently about the over-under. There's just been a lot of trends that suggest the over is a really good play in this game. The over is 6-2 in the last 8 meetings between the two teams. The over is 9-2 in the Lakers' last 11 road games. The over is 4-1 in the Lakers' last 5 games playing on 3 days of rest. The over is 5-1 in the Nuggets' last 6 games playing on 3 days rest. So that much said, I'm also going to put out there right now, we're going to put it out there, Lakers, Nuggets, I'm going to take the over. I'm going to go to our outlier app just to see what it's going off at. 22.5 points. 22.5 points is where it's currently at. That's what I'm going to take it at. And what were the odds? It was at minus 109. Minus 109. So, thank you, IP Shade 45 for putting out so much confetti to start the show. Allowed me to put out some early picks around this game. We're definitely going to give out a lot of picks across NBA and MLB today. So if you have questions, of course we have answers. We'll jump right into it now. LRK425 is asking about the Mariners game. And let's go over to baseball. Let's look at this Mariners game. By the way, for those watching on Instagram Live, sorry for the connection issues. I hope it's not frustrating you too much. If it is, go over to our YouTube channel, hit the link in our bio. Hit the link in our bio, takes you right to our YouTube channel, and go watch on YouTube. It's the better viewing experience. So, LRK425, you see this trend here. The Red Sox are 13-5 against the Mariners at home after a loss over their last 18 games. But think about the span of time that occurs over. What have we seen from the Red Sox over the last few days? We've seen their bats kind of slump a little bit. They only have 2 runs over their last 2 games. Only 5 runs over their last 3. They were hot, but they certainly have cooled off. It stands out to me as something that may be something to keep an eye on just in terms of the weather for that one. I know all you guys like the Ballpark Pal website that we use. Let me make sure it's refreshed so it's updated with the most recent weather report. And yes, it now is. So anyways, Fenway Park is expected to be one of the second highest run output weather plays of the day. So I certainly have my eye on runs. But just based off of how the Red Sox hitters have been over the last 48 hours, 72 hours, it certainly makes me question them a little bit more. Jumping back over into Outlier, looking at the matchup between the two, Pivetta, yuck, terrible ERA, over 6, and plenty of sample size there. Really don't like it. On the other side, Luis Castillo's an ace. Luis Castillo is a stud, and he's pitching like one with a 2.70 ERA, the 46 2/3 innings, so he's pitching really well. Diving into it, Red Sox hitters against Castillo, no one really stands out either. No one's got a home run. The averages, Tapia, 4 for 8 against him, fine. That's not someone you necessarily think of as a home run. He's more of a singles doubles hitter. At worst, it's a triple. Maybe you can think of him as a DFS play if you want someone who's cheap who could maybe get some extra bases, maybe get a steal or two. But on the other side against Pivetta, Ty France has good numbers. Not too many people with great numbers, but to me it's more about just how Pivetta's been pitching overall. So on this one, I would lean towards Mariners on the money line. To answer that question for LRK425. Not runs, no Castillo pitching. I think that's why I like the Mariners that much more. By the way, as much as I was more about I liked the over yesterday, and I was hesitant at first. That's why I didn't give it out as a pick during the show, because I thought Tanner Houck has good numbers against the Mariners. George Kirby's pitched pretty well of late. I thought the Red Sox would win, but it turns out the over hit. So, and these Mariners, they've got some guys who can mash. You saw it last night. Raley, Suarez, obviously Julio Rodriguez when he gets right. They just got some guys who can bomb. So, Irving, I don't do a lot of soccer. I just don't have a lot of good data around it. So while I would love to be able to help you out, I just don't have a lot of information on it. Brandon, there were a lot of overs yesterday. That's absolutely right. And some surprising outcomes in some of them. That Orioles game really took off. You can see today the weather on that one is also leaning towards maybe some runs. The fact that it's 0 right now certainly impacts things. The fact that the weather's not going to impact runs may actually be a benefit towards the over. The fact that home runs is a +3. I actually had my eye on Anthony Santander as a home run play today. I know a lot of us have talked over the past few days about picking hitters to hit home runs. He hit one yesterday, which makes me a little hesitant to pick him today, only because is he going to go back to back? But it is a ballpark that actually has a positive probability on home runs. He's got a favorable matchup. He's clearly been swinging the hot bat, so I kind of like it. Parlay bets for the NBA game tonight. We're going to give out picks, user 2923, but obviously it's up for you to parlay. We're not necessarily going to say this is how we would parlay. just like we did with the picks that we gave out early. These are picks that we like. You may want to take, because Nuggets on the money line isn't a great bet for you, you might want to parlay that with someone else, take that minus 230 to something else. Brandon, the website that we look at for weather is called ballparkpal.com. Ballparkpal.com, and you hit on park factors, and again, you can see how the weather will impact home runs, extra base hits, overall singles, and then overall runs. It's a great tool. One of the things we've kind of started to do as a default is I look at on the website which 3 or 4 games have the greatest likelihood of runs, bet the over, go to the other end of the spectrum, which games have the worst likelihood of scoring runs. You may not want to take certain ones like the Brewers-Cardinals game. Maybe you like how the Cardinals are swinging the bat and want to avoid it. But Arizona-Oakland, I take the under. Cleveland White Sox, we're going to give that out later as a pick, but you can already tell where I'm thinking about it. Even Kansas City, San Diego, I didn't give that one out yesterday because I was like, hey, maybe San Diego is going to put a charge into some things, but actually that under hit as well. So when the weather is so favorable towards the under or the over, definitely sometimes it becomes a default play, and again, you need to turn off the kind of mechanism in your brain that says, oh, but that brand, that team tells me one thing. The totals may actually work in your favor just based on weather. Just something to play with, something to use as an experiment. Appreciate all of you guys joining us. Appreciate all of you hitting that like button as many times as you are. Make sure that, of course, you're following us. Hit that follow button, and that way you know every time we go live. We are trying to go live every single day for 2 hours, and that way we can give out a lot of great sports betting information, help you guys out, and, of course, rant about sports. Every time we're gonna bump it up now. We've been doing so well on the like button. We decided to challenge you guys a little bit. Every time we hit 2,000 likes, we're gonna give out a pick. Every time we hit 2,000 likes, we're gonna give out a pick. And of course, every time you guys help us out with our live goal, as IP Shade 45 did earlier, and that's why we reset it. But every time we do that, we will also give out a pick. So we have reset at IP Shade 45 because you guys were doing too well. We were running out of picks. I thought part of the reason yesterday we might have done so poorly is I felt we were throwing out picks that our conviction level might not have been. We would not necessarily have given them all out like that. I think there are a couple we probably would have saved because we would have sat on. Kyle Tucker hitting a home run was one of them, but at the same time, he came so close. I don't know if any of you guys saw that highlight. Cody Bellinger taking away that double from him. So it was unbelievable. Our bad beat of the night, I joke with you guys, I always feel like there's one play, one pick we make that is a bad beat of, because we're putting out like 16 picks a night for you guys. So out of 16 picks, you're going to run into some bad beats. And last night, Cody Bellinger makes a spectacular play, takes away the double and the RBI from Tucker, which would have cashed on the 1.5 runs plus hits plus RBIs. And not only that, it wouldn't have been a home run, but it was just close enough to tease us. So we were definitely watching our MLB highlights and in frustration last night. So hopefully we do better tonight. IP Shade 45, I was 1 for 2 yesterday, so it won off the props. The other one just missed on the Twins strikeout. Yeah, Pablo Lopez missed for us. That was disappointing. I believe he only had 4 strikeouts. We had him at 6.5. That was really disappointing. I thought he was going to pitch better. So anyways, we'll continue to do our research for today. If you guys have any questions, LRK425 is asking about San Diego. You can already tell where I'm thinking about in terms of the total for that Royals-Padres game. Given that runs are going to be impacted negatively by weather, home runs as well, extra base hits, actually across the board overall. So immediately that kind of is what stands out to me about that game, is looking at, again, Padres-Royals. Padres-Royals, look towards the under. That game's going off at 8.5. I actually think that's a pretty good spot to take it at. I know the 2 pitchers in that one, maybe those you kind of want to fade. I believe it's, is it Singer and Lugo? Yeah, Brady Singer, who, you guys know how I feel about Brady Singer. We've talked about him on previous days. The term dog poop comes to mind with that 7.71 ERA, and he's almost at 40 innings. So you know he's going to give up runs. What I'm really hoping is you're going to get a strong performance from Seth Lugo. I like the lower ERA. Again, both these pitchers are around 40 innings pitched. The weather suggests a lower scoring game. If I had to go in a direction for this one, LRK 425, I certainly would take the under, and I would also take the Padres. You're not going to get the same kind of odds on the Padres, obviously, that you'll get on the under. The under is the stronger play if you're looking to get a better return on your money. But minus 190 actually isn't bad for the Padres. Minus 190. Let's put it on the board. Let's put that one on the board. I like those two as well. We'll make this an in-show play, but I like this one. Obviously, we're looking at Singer being garbage with that ERA. We like the under, but for this one, let's go Padres, money line, minus 190. I love that play. Feel like it's strong. I will throw in here the under, the Royals, Padres, under 8.5. And where were we getting that? Is that under 8.5 at minus 104? It's not the more favorable play. I'm leaning a bit towards it. I have my doubts about it, so I will. That's not a high confidence play to the same extent, but I will lay it on there on the board. I actually feel like it's probably closer to a 55% confidence play for me, but I actually like it because the weather, and again, I think Seth Lugo can keep the Royals down enough. I think Singer's the one who's going to give up some runs. Brandon, yeah, I kind of am with you there on Padres first five. If I feel that way about the general outcome of the game, I'd go that way as well. Jorge, appreciate you joining us on YouTube. For all those watching on YouTube, really appreciate it. If you're watching on Instagram Live and you're struggling with the view, go over to YouTube and watch it there. I definitely feel like it's the better viewing experience. So if you're watching on Instagram Live, hit the link in our bio and go watch on our YouTube channel. Jorge's asking about Josiah Gray and Luzardo over 10.5 combined strikeouts. Forgive me. So let's go to that game, but let's go from the prop bet finder perspective, and let's look at that game. Let's see if we can get our props loaded up here. And there we go. So let's go to that game and look at the strikeouts. Gray. So Luzardo, the probability of him getting over 5.5 is just under 60%. Really like that. Okay, so what do we need from Gray to match it? The over for 4.5, 58%. I like it. To your question on YouTube, Jorge, about do we like over 10.5? Let's dive into it a little bit. He's really sitting. You can see he's really sitting at the 5, 6. So you know you're going to get a strong 5 or 6 from Luzardo. That should give you decent confidence that he can match the first half of it. The question is, can you get the other side from Gray? Let's check it. Okay. That actually gives me some belief. He's actually hit the over. He's hit 6 or more in 3 of his last 4 starts. How has he done against Marlins, though? So this actually doesn't do the Outlier app actually comes up short for this one, Jorge. I'm going to dive into this a little bit further, and I'm going to go to Josiah Gray. And I want to look at his splits against the Marlins. Obviously, there isn't data this year. He hasn't pitched against them. So I'm going to go back to last year, because he will have faced the Marlins a couple times. You see here, he faced the Marlins. It's up there on your screen, just above my head. Marlins, 5.67 ERA, which for him actually, not as bad as it could be. 0-3 record. The strikeouts, though, 36 strikeouts in 33 innings pitched. Really like that ratio. Actually really like that ratio given his history against a number of the hitters that he'll be facing. We dive into it a little bit further and look at how he's done against the hitters he'll be facing today. Again, he's given up hits. He's given up a high average. So the only issue I have is, will Gray be in the game long enough? For that reason, Jorge, I would fade this one, because even though the stats suggest the under could hit, if the Marlins are able to get some runs on Gray early enough, is he in the game long enough to be able to cash this bet? just basing it off the stats, Marlins hitters that he'll be facing have a decent average against him. So I would avoid this play. I feel like it's a bit too risky. I understand why you were checking out the over, but just wasn't one that I was really favorable on. That said, Jorge, Vlad Guerrero over 1.5 hits. Jorge's asking about Vlad Guerrero over 1.5 hits, and I definitely want to dive into this one because actually I had my eye on this from a favorite bet perspective, and so it's a perfect one to bring up. Now, I was looking at it from bases. You're looking at it over 1.5 hits, Jorge. Or, sorry, you're looking at over 1.5 bases. Go. Perfect. Okay, over 1.5 bases. Diving into this. You see, this has been a really strong trend. Really strong trend. 8 out of the last 10 games, including last night against the Yankees. He's facing Domingo Germán in this one. Let's look at how he's done against Germán in his career. Okay, so a 250 average, but he's got 2 home runs. And actually, in doing my research prior to this game, like I said, I was actually going to make this one of my favorite bets of the day. And one of the things I like about it, I know he only has a 250 average, 3 hits out of 12 at-bats. But that said, all 3 of those hits have been extra base hits. 2 home runs and a double. So if I'm going to bet anything in this one, it's not the 1.5 runs plus hits plus RBIs. It is 1.5 total bases. So like I actually said, this is one of my favorite bets of the day. Jorge just happened to touch on it before I even could get into it. So that said, I will put it on the board. And that way you guys can have another one of my favorite bets of the day. We'll just call this one another tribute to IP Shade 45 for hooking us up with all that confetti. Again, every time you guys help us out with our live goal, we'll give out a free pick. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. over 1.5 bases. And we will take that at... I got it at minus 105 when I was doing my research earlier. Let's see what we're getting it at now. Minus 104. Okay. So, about the same. And there we go. There's another one of our favorite bets of the day. If you guys want to check all of these out, just let us know. We're happy to share them with you. Make sure you hit that follow button. And, of course, make sure you're hitting that like button. Alexander, you're asking about... Can you check Oakland and the White Sox? Let's dive into it. Oakland and the White Sox. Apologies to all those who are watching on Instagram Live who are struggling. 808 Blaker, I like the Nuggets tonight. We're going to check the Oakland game first. So, here's my only question, Alexander. What were you asking in relation to those games? Were you asking about the total? Were you asking about the money line? We always like to look at the bets that you guys give out from a certain perspective, and that way we can be most helpful to you. So when you ask about a certain game, just also include, are you asking about the run line, the money line, the total? What are you asking about, Alexander? More than happy to help you out. Just want to know which angle you're taking on it. Run line, let's check it out. IP Shade 45, I'll get to you in just 1 second. Alexander, you're asking about it on the run line for Oakland. Let's look at it. The head-to-head, what's interesting is obviously Arizona has not just won, but Arizona's covered the run line in 4 of their last 5 games. May not be as relevant for this, but Arizona's just been playing good ball. Only the one head-to-head. Man, Oakland is just dog shit. It's too bad. Like, the franchise, I feel so bad for Oakland A's fans. I so wish that they had a better product. And at this point, if you're a sports bettor, you kind of get sucked into betting against the A's on a regular basis. I know we did that yesterday and it was successful, but it's one of those that's just looking at some of the data, looking at how left-handed pitcher, how the A's have done against the left-handed starter. Obviously, Brent Rooker's been a stud. seeing if anything stands out, really catches our eye. Interestingly enough, overall, you feel like these two teams are pretty evenly matched today. Here's where they may not be evenly matched, though, and that's the starting pitchers. Kyle Muller, brutal ERA. On the other side, Tommy Henry, he's kept it under 4.5. I know that's only in 22 innings. I'd like to see a little bit more out of him. But that said, it's hard for me to endorse taking Oakland when their starting pitcher is allowing so many runs. I'm willing to dive into it just a little bit farther because Kyle Muller. I'd love to just see some stat that's going to give me some confidence to help you out here. Yeah, nothing obviously on the Diamondbacks, but if I go to his splits, on the road too, yuck. No, for that one, man. I'm getting a slow computer all of a sudden. So, on that run line, brutal. Let's see if this is better because now I just took myself off of Instagram Live to try to get a better... Yeah, here we go. So, on the run line, it's a tough play for me because his splits on the road... Or, sorry, he's at home. Okay. That makes me feel a little bit better. I mean, he's a better pitcher at home. Man, I just wouldn't touch this, Alexander. Yeah, I would if I had to go in any direction, though. Here's the only problem. You say you're going to take the over because the pitching matchup, but the weather suggests the over isn't the stronger play. I don't have a good feel on this game. I would have taken the under. Interesting that you're going to take the over. Yeah, Oakland is only plus 130. But I just don't feel really strong about it. So, appreciate all of you guys joining us. We got a question from IP Shade 45. After this question, would you be confident adding half a single to Vlad Guerrero Jr. total bases? I actually may not be, and here's why, IP Shade 45. I mentioned this earlier. He actually has 3 hits against Domingo Germán, and all of them are extra base hits. So I feel better actually about him getting over 1.5 total bases than I actually have confidence him getting a single. Seems like when he gets a hit off Germán, it's going to be extra base hits, so I got to stay with that trend. One big deal, 22. That's kind of where I came out on that game was Diamondbacks on the money line. Yep, that's right. Want to answer that question that we had from YouTube. Verlander and Javier, 14.5 strikeouts. Verlander and Javier, 14.5 strikeouts. That's an interesting one. Let's dive into it. So we're going to go to the prop bet finder, reset it, take it at strikeouts. So if I'm looking at Verlander first, Justin Verlander first, they're setting it really at like 6.5 strikeouts is where they have him kind of set. 6.5 so far, or 6.5 is kind of where it's set at. Let's dive into it. And the over 6.5 has not been a strong play. The over 6.5 has not been a strong play. So we're answering this question that we just had on YouTube about whether we like Javier and Verlander over 14.5 strikeouts. Immediately, I have a bad feeling about it because Verlander has not been a real dominant strikeout pitcher really this season. I know he's only had the 2 starts, but even dating it back, not feeling that crazy about it. Maybe you feel better like he's ramping up over his last 2 starts, but don't feel as confident about it. Going to the other side, let's look at Javier. Christian Javier. His strikeouts, interesting. 7.5 is where you're getting the even money. And here, much better. Much better. 3 out of his last 4 starts. Javier's facing the Cubs today. That's not what we want. We want Cubs hitters against Javier. Here's one thing that you got to like if you look on over here. Hitters with a history against Christian Javier, they don't have a hit. In the Cubs lineup, Bellinger, Swanson, Trey Mancini, nothing. So it's an interesting play. To answer the question on YouTube about Verlander and Javier, the only issues I have is Verlander's going up against the Tampa Bay Rays. I don't feel like he's going to hit that strikeout. He's going to hit his 6.5 strikeouts. So then you're relying on Javier to get you, 8 strikeouts, 9 strikeouts potentially to get over the 14.5. I don't have a lot of confidence about it, more because I don't have confidence in Verlander. If Verlander was facing a lesser opponent than the Tampa Bay Rays, I might feel differently. But to answer your question on YouTube, I would not touch this one. I would avoid it because I feel like the under might happen. I have more confidence in the under than I do the over. G-Glips, the app or website we're using is called Outlier. If you want to get access to it, DM us on Instagram, TikTok, or on Twitter, and we'll hook you up with a link that gives you a free 7-day trial. So check that out. Go if you want to learn more about Outlier and give it a 7-day try. More than happy to give you a link that gives you that 7-day trial. One big deal, 22. You like the Rockies today? The answer is yes, I do, but I really like the over in that game. And again, to another website that we love to use, ballparkpal.com. Coors Field, the wind is blowing out to left field, but more importantly, the conditions are perfect for scoring runs. Yesterday, I was thinking about giving it out as a best bet because, again, the weather conditions were really favorable. We opted not to, and I regretted it. The reason I didn't, it was the Reds versus the Rockies, and I didn't follow one of my cardinal rules, which is don't look at the names, look at the trends. The trend was saying go with the over. I should have, I didn't. But that said, the over ended up hitting. I expect the over to happen again. It's a really high total. It's like 12 runs. It was yesterday as well. It didn't matter. I expect scoring. And for those who play DFS, I also loaded up my DFS lineup with a number of Rockies as well as Reds hitters. Zips, thanks so much for the rose. Definitely appreciate it. If you guys want to get more of our favorite picks or our best picks for the day, make sure you hit that like button. Every time we hit another 2,000 likes, we will give you a pick. Or if you help us out with our live goal, that's what we're focused on now, is our live goal. So if you helped us out with our live goal, or you hit that like button and get us up to another 2,000 likes, that's how we give out some of our favorite picks of the day. For those who are just curious, here are the picks that we've given out so far today. I want to give a big shout out to IP Shade 45 for hooking us up. Cody, that's the better play. Love where you're thinking, Cody, on TikTok Live. Yeah, the better play is Christian Javier at plus 6 strikeouts. In fact, let's go back to that really quick. I kind of like that as well. He's got that in 4 of his last 5 games. You're getting it at 6, 6.5. The problem is 6.5's at minus 215. Bit of a long shot play, for some of you guys. I'm still going to take it. I'm still going to go with it. And actually, we'll pay this off. Thank you, Jacob. I'll make this. I'll give out 2 picks right now. We'll use this. I kind of like this one as well. Christian Javier over. We're saying we're getting it at 6.5. 6.5 strikeouts, and we're getting that at minus. What was that? Minus 210. Minus 215. Yuck. I really wish that were a better play. I'm putting it on the board because I do like the trend behind it. The data that we've seen, not exactly the kind of odds I wanted. I really wish that were like a minus 185, a minus 190. That's where I'd like to take it. Unfortunately, Outlier is such a great tool, but I'm not seeing any comparison shopping opportunities on this one. So really unfortunate. We will get to your question on YouTube in just 1 second. In just 1 second, we'll get to your question on YouTube about Clayton Wheeler over 14.5 strikeouts and Jamal over 30.5 points and rebounds. We'll get to your question in just 1 second. I do want to pay off Jacob Potter hitting that confetti button and helping us out with our live goal. Because of that, I want to give you another one of my favorite bets of the day. Again, every time we get a little bit of confetti and help with our live goal, we're going to give out another one of our favorite bets of the day. I'm going to go to, want to see which one I want to give out. Oh, okay, this one I actually really love today. It is Guardians White Sox under 8.5. Or under 8. I got it at under 8 at minus 115. Let's actually see what that is right now. I might want to take that at the 8.5 if it's gotten better odds or it's at a good spot. So it's at 8.5. It's at 8.5 at minus 114. Even better. So 8.5 at minus 114. Love this play today. The weather is certainly an impact on this pick for me. Going to our ballpark pal look. Looking at one of the worst weather days or one of the worst outcomes in terms of weather for scoring. You just look at this Guardian White Sox game. Home runs down, extra base hits down. Sure, singles up a tick, but runs overall down 15% probability. Love seeing that across the board for an underplay. And I'm going to double down on it. Shane Bieber is the starting pitcher for the Indians. Forgive me, I knew I was going to do that. Shane Bieber is the starting pitcher of the Cleveland Guardians, and he has really good numbers against the White Sox. Like that opportunity. Lance Lynn on the other side for the White Sox. There are a couple of Cleveland hitters who actually have a really good average and good numbers against Lance Lynn. So another pick I would consider is taking the Guardians on the money line. I like that play, Guardians money line, but that's not the pick I'm giving out. The pick I really like for this one is the under. Again, the pick we just gave out is under 8.5 runs for that Guardians White Sox game. Really like that one, but would also suggest you look at the money line for that game as well on the Guardians side. Okay, had a question in from YouTube that I wanted to make sure I got to. Clayton Kershaw and Wheeler over 14 strikeouts. Let's dive into it. So it's Kershaw and Wheeler, 14 strikeouts. We're going to go to our prop bet finder. Someone really likes the strikeouts, clearly. We'll go Kershaw. So his strikeouts, interesting, 7.5. The probability is set at 48%. He's got a matchup with the Twins. He's been very, very consistent. Maybe not at hitting the over 7.5, but the one thing I do love to see is that he is consistently over 6. By the way, I want to give a big shout out to BBF Ford. BBF Ford, thank you for subscribing on YouTube. Appreciate all of those who subscribe, whether it's on TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube. Really appreciate it. So BBF Ford, welcome to the Butt Fumble Sports community. Appreciate having you. So looking at the bet we're talking about is Clayton Kershaw and Zach Wheeler combined strikeouts over 14. So the fact that Clayton Kershaw, I like that he's in that 6 to 9 range. That's a really good range as long as he's staying away from the 4 strikeouts. And that came early in the year. I like that he's ramped it up. You can just see he's starting to really pitch much better. Looking for some other ideas around it. He's also pitched well at home. His last 2 starts at home are where he has his most strikeouts. So I like the idea that he could get 7, 8 strikeouts today as kind of putting that at the basement, rather. And just quickly looking at how Twins hitters have done against him lifetime. Michael Taylor, 2 for 3. Donovan Solano, 7 for 14. Correa, 1 for 3. But no one's numbers are really jumping out. So I like Kershaw getting, again, 7 strikeouts, 8 strikeouts. That would kind of hold up that first half of the bet. Now let's go look at what Zach Wheeler is looking like. So Zach Wheeler, over 6.5. First of all, the implied probability on this, love seeing this, 59% implied probability. So immediately like the idea of it. And he's been a really strong play. He's been a really strong play of late in terms of his strikeouts. Over 6.5, 3 out of his last 4. And by the way, against some decent offenses. Blue Jays, Red Sox, Astros, Rockies, yes, but it was in Philly. But that said, he's faced, funny enough, the offenses that were kind of worse, the Reds, the Marlins, and the White Sox, he had fewer strikeouts against them, did better against the better offenses. So just an interesting note. Sliding over, seeing how he's done against the Giants hitters. The only person who really stands out is J.D. Davis. J.D. Davis has hit him really well. Everyone else, not impressive numbers. So I actually like this bet. Answering the question that we got on YouTube, Clayton Kershaw, Zach Wheeler over 14 strikeouts. I like it because I feel like you can get 7-8 strikeouts from Kershaw. I like the fact that you could probably get 7-8 strikeouts as well from Wheeler. If one of those is a tick down, I still like the over on it. So if you can get it at 13.5, that's what I'd really like it at because I like the 14 being in your favor. I wouldn't like 14 if you're in a push situation. But that said, I do like Zach Wheeler, Clayton Kershaw over 14 strikeouts. But again, really, I like it at 13.5. I want that hook in my favor. Appreciate all of you guys joining us. Make sure you hit that follow button. Make sure you're following Butt Fumble Sports. That way you know every time we go live, we're live every single day for 2 hours. Every show, we put our research right in front of you. Hopefully you guys get a lot out of it. So want to make sure you're both entertained and informed. Make sure you're hitting that follow button. That way you know we're always live and available to you. Again, the 2 ways we give out picks, every time we hit another 2,000 likes, and when we get one of the gifts of confetti, that helps with our live goal. Blease, where are we at with our likes? Let's throw up the picks so far today since someone is asking about it. Here are the picks so far today. Oh, we owe some picks. You gotta tell me about that. We owe some picks for these people. So we're at 4,300 likes. So we owe you a pick. Okay. For the next pick, we'll go with another gameplay for this one, and we're gonna go with Yankees, Blue Jays, and I bet you guys can already tell we're gonna go with the over on this one. And the reason we're going to go with the over is because the pitching matchup, favorable for both offenses. The weather doesn't necessarily work in our favor, but we'll get to that in a moment. So for the total on this one, the over is set at plus 100. So we're getting at a good spot. Diving into this game, looking at it from the over perspective, obviously the under is considered the better play just based off the odds, but the trends, the over is hit in 4 of the Yankees' last 5 games as an underdog. Interesting that they're an underdog again tonight, despite them beating up on the Blue Jays pitchers yesterday. Whatever was going on with Aaron Judge, we can talk about that another time, but something was up with that. Kevin Gausman on the mound. Man, he's been really impressive against the Yankees this year. Maybe that's one of the reasons the under is considered a stronger play, but that's just in one start. Am I really going to take too much from that? We'll look into it in just a moment. Domingo Germán on the other side. His ERA was a tick over its average against Toronto, 6 runs, or a 6 ERA rather. But let's dive into the history, the stats of these hitters against these pitchers. So, I mentioned earlier Vlad Guerrero Jr., like him, over 1.5 bases. We talked about that. Not too many other stats that really stand out. Bo Bichette's actually not that bad. I know it's in red, but the 273 average isn't bad, given that he's got the 2 home runs. So, I like that the middle of the order, Bichette, Guerrero, both have decent numbers, especially when it comes to home runs against Domingo Germán. On the other side, looking at how the Yankee hitters have done against Gausman, Trevino's hit him well. I mean, Hicks 2 for 3. I'm not going to take too much out of that. Interestingly enough, Judge doesn't have great numbers against him. Kiner Falefa does. LeMahieu 3 for 9. But I do like this play. I like where the 2 offenses really are. The Yankees have been on an absolute heater offensively. Ever since they really got Judge back, their offense has really turned on. I'm looking for them to continue that tonight. Blue Jays, maybe not as hot, but they've turned it on a little bit. End of that series against the Braves, so I like the over in that game. Okay, it's a play on FanDuel. Jokic Nuggets. Jokic double-double and Nuggets money line at minus 2,000. Really liking that. Cody, I like it as well. The minus 200 may not seem like a great spot, but I like that bet. You bet 1 unit, you get a half back. I don't hate on it, Cody. I actually think that's a good play. Alexander, Yankees game fixed. Bet Giancarlo Stanton hits a finger tonight. Okay. Is Stanton back? Is Stanton in the lineup? Is Stanton back? I thought he was still on the IL. Okay, Jorge is asking about Jamal Murray over 30.5 points and assists. Let's look into it. 30.5 points and assists. We're going to go to our prop bet finder for the NBA. And we're going to go to Murray, points and assists. Jamal Murray. Points, rebounds. Nope, we want points and assists. So we're answering Jorge's question here on TikTok Live. Appreciate all of you guys joining us. Make sure you're hitting that follow button. Make sure you follow us. That way you know every time we're live. Jorge, you're asking about 30.5. The under, man, it's interesting. The under has an implied probability of 49%. The over 57%. So we like that. Interesting that he's been kind of in this roller coaster of he puts two good games together in this regard, and then he struggles. You were getting it at 30.5. I'll say this. I like that the breaking point is a little bit higher. I like that 31.5's got the minus 110. So you're taking it at a slightly better spot. I'm going to move over. I'm going to go to look at his stats against the Lakers. I'm looking for splits here. We're looking at Jamal Murray, points and assists over 30.5. We're going to splits. So, looking at his splits, first of all, home, scoring more points, home, having more assists. So we like that from the start. That's only at 26. You expect him to do better in the playoffs. To the old Shaq line, if the guy's getting 20 in the regular season, he should be getting 25 or 30 in the postseason. I like that in wins, obviously. He's averaging more points, averaging more assists. I expected the Nuggets to win tonight, so obviously those kind of things go hand in hand, but just something you like to see confirmed. Okay, looking at how he's done against the Lakers. 4 games this year. I like that we have a decent sample size. Again, I know this came earlier in the year. The one problem with what we're going to talk about now is this is the Denver Nuggets against the Lakers before the trade deadline. And the Lakers before the trade deadline were just a much different team, so it is something that kind of stands out. Jorge is as reason to be hesitant. But against the Lakers in those games, he did get 22 points. And when it came to assists, he got 5.3. Man, I want to take the 30.5. I want to take the over, but the stats aren't really jumping out in that regard. He hasn't been consistent enough with it. And for that reason, I'm not going to endorse it. It just doesn't feel like a great play. Appreciate all you guys joining us. Okay, one big deal 22. Michael Porter Jr. over 14.5 points. Let's check it out. 14.5 points. Let's check it out. Appreciate all of you joining us. Make sure you're hitting that like button. Once we get up to 6,000 likes, we will give out another one of our favorite picks of the day. So keep hitting that like button. We're doing our research now around Michael Porter Jr. And we're looking at his points, 14.5. Points, 14.5. What was the implied probability on that? 14.5, 56%. Again, we really like it when it's above 55. Again, he's been hit or miss, but this game against Phoenix is a bit of an outlier. That was a blowout game, so a part of this really wasn't an indication of where he is. He's been a really important factor in their wins. I love the fact that he got the 19 points in that game 5. His last 20 games, this is hit at 65%. Wasn't as great in the Phoenix series. You wonder why. Given that they didn't have a great, who was guarding him in that Phoenix series? Was it Durant? I mean, who was it? You'd think he'd have a good opportunity. But on this one, if I had to go in any direction, I think I'd lean slightly towards the over. I'm not crazy about it with the Michael Porter Jr. over 14.5 points. I'm not crazy about it. Looking at Michael Porter Jr. now and his splits, I want to again look at how he did. I know, again, it's an old Lakers squad, so that the data might not be as helpful. We're going to get a lot of information after tonight's game. He averaged, the problem in this that I'm seeing immediately is he averaged 14.5. He only played 2 games against the Lakers, averaged 14.5. If I had to go in one direction on it, I'd lean towards the over, but I'm not crazy about it. One big deal, 22. IP Shade 45, you're awesome. Thanks for hitting that confetti. Every time someone hits that confetti and helps us out with our live goal, we give out one of our favorite bets of the day. Here comes another one of them. We're going to throw this up on the board, so everyone keep your eyes peeled. Give you another opportunity to get one of our favorite plays of the day. We've given out a couple baseball games, 3 baseball games, 4 baseball games so far. 2 baseball player props, but we haven't given out a basketball player prop yet. So let's stay in that Nuggets-Lakers game. Let's give out a player prop bet from there. And we will go with, looking at the one I like. Okay, here's one I like that's just random as hell. So this is one that's random as hell. I'm going to have fun with this one. So Dennis Schroeder, over half a steal and a block. I know that you're gonna be like, what the hell is Butt Fumble Sports up to with Dennis Schroeder over half a steal plus a block? However, here's the reason I like this one. This play has hit in 9 of his last 10 games. 9 of his last 10 games, this has hit. Again, a steal plus a block. So he just has to have a steal or a block. I'm going to show you exactly why I like this play so much. Because again, I know a bunch of you are probably like, what the hell is he thinking? But there's a reason behind our madness. If I go to points, where is it? Steals plus blocks. Okay. The over has an implied probability of 64%. 64%. I talk about how I like it between 55 and 60. I'm getting it at 64%. And then you look at how well this is played. Obviously, like I said it was 9 out of the last 10. Consistent. This is the game he got ejected from. Consistent. Really good. Really good play. Like what Dennis Schroeder brings. And again, it's steals plus blocks. Doesn't matter which he gets, but that's the next bet that we're giving it out because IP Shade 45 helping everyone out. Hitting that confetti, giving us a gift to help us with our live goal. And for that reason, we are on the board again. Dennis Schroeder over half a steal plus block. Okay, Cullen is asking about the Rangers minus 1.5 and the Mariners minus 1.5. Both the right pitchers for the right type of fields So we talked a little bit earlier. Mariners minus 1.5 is an interesting play. That did catch our eye because Nick Pivetta has been pitching poorly. Luis Castillo's been pitching well, and there's a high probability of weather in that of runs based off the weather in that game. So Mariners minus 1.5 is an interesting play. We talked about that a little bit earlier. Let's dive into that Rangers minus 1.5. Rangers minus 1.5. By the way, we're almost an hour into the show. Incredible how quickly the show goes. Thanks to you guys just being so incredible with your support. So thank you guys so much. Appreciate you guys continuing to be so supportive and hitting that like button, giving us gifts, helping us out with our live goal, and of course giving us all these great questions to dive into. So you're asking about the Rangers minus 1.5. Well, I'm not seeing that at all because I'm seeing the Texas Rangers at plus 1.5. At plus 1.5. Interesting. So Rangers plus 1.5. That's been a decent play of late. 3 out of the last 5. Going a farther out. Going the last 20. You can see that's been a decent play. Is the Rangers just covering the 1.5 run line. Alexander, Yankees win tonight with a walk-off. I like the idea of a Yankees win, but I don't think it's going to be a walk-off. They're on the road. By the way, I love giving Alexander a hard time. Alexander, you are absolutely one of my favorite viewers, just so you know. So that said, looking at the matchup, the pitching matchup here, Dane Dunning, great ERA. Great ERA. You mentioned it, Cullen. Great pitcher on the mound. He's just been off to a fantastic start for Texas. Love that I'm also seeing the low whip. Walks and hits per inning. Love how low that is, under 1. Meanwhile, on the other side, yuck. Only 8.2 innings. But that said, Cullen, I like your idea. Now, it's Rangers plus 1.5 somehow. I don't know how, but the Rangers are actually dogs in this one. So the Rangers at plus 1.5. I'm getting at minus 165. Cullen, you're making me want to put this one on the board, man. I really like this play all of a sudden. I mean, damn. The Rangers against left-handed pitching. Like, let's look at that. Like, that doesn't scare me. You got a couple of hitters who are hitting really well, actually, against left-handed pitching. On the other side, the Braves against Dunning. They've done nothing. All right. Cullen, you talked me into this one. We are going to put this one on the board, and we are going to make this one another one of our favorite bets of the day. We're going to take this on the run line. We're taking it on the run line, so we're going to put it up on the board. We're taking Texas Rangers. We're taking Rangers plus 1.5 runs. Plus 1.5 runs at minus, what was that, minus 130? Minus 165. Minus 165. Like the starting pitcher matchup. Let's quickly just jump over to the weather conditions for that game. If there's anything, it's a middle. It's obviously a dome stadium. You expect the roof to be up. So, yeah. I like it. I like Rangers to cover the 1.5. Nice play, Cullen. Like the suggestion. Getting to more of your questions. Yeah, Cullen, appreciate it. Alexander's saying don't do it. We're putting it up on the board, Alexander. Definitely, by the way, Alexander, keep track of all this. I know you're such a loyal viewer. I'd love to take it. Oh, take the over. Okay, yeah. That I might like more. Yeah, I'm with you. But I like the Rangers to cover it. By the way, Cody, you are so right. There have been a couple hitters in the last few days, like a couple superstars who are just dropping bombs. Aaron Judge, Ronald Acuna, Nolan Arenado. I mean, obviously Shohei Ohtani last night. I don't know if you guys saw that home run that he hit onto Utah Street in Baltimore, but that was a bomb. And to think that's the starting pitcher doing that. Pretty fucking cool. So, didn't mean to curse. By the way, Jorge, let's get to yours. Jorge's asking about Reeves over 1.5 3-pointers made. I know you asked about that yesterday, so I want to help you out. By the way, to the person who asked on YouTube about AD over 3.5 blocks and steals, we'll get to that in just 1 second. Want to make sure I give out or help Jorge out, and then I'll get to your question in just 1 second. Jorge, again, is asking about Austin Reeves over 1.5 3-pointers. Let's check it. Austin Reeves. Let's go to 3-pointers. By the way, for those who are watching on YouTube, definitely want to shout you guys out. Appreciate you guys watching there. Make sure you guys hit that subscriber button, and that way you can always know when we're live and catch a lot of our other covers. Implied probability, 56%. Like that. Let's go dive into it a little bit deeper. Love this trend. Love this trend. 3 games in a row. And most importantly, to me, it's about him finding his confidence level with this team as a part of the rotation. And not just rotation getting on the floor. They're putting him in a lot of pick and roll situations, which really opens him up for 3-point opportunities because he can do a pick and pop. He can pass out to LeBron, use the pick, and then run around, get a corner 3. I like this play. I do like Austin Reeves over 1.5 3-pointers. I like that I'm getting it 3 games in a row. You also look at the head-to-head against the Denver Nuggets. Again, I know this isn't a great sampling because it comes from awkward times in the season, but the fact he's hit it 4 games in a row against the Nuggets, I can't ignore. That makes it a strong play. Love this play. That, again, don't want the head-to-head, last 5. Like this play, Austin Reeves over 1.5 3-pointers. Like this one. Brandon, I like the Denver Nuggets on the money line tonight. I like the Nuggets. Nuggets were one of the best home teams throughout the regular season. They've continued that in the postseason. I have no reason to believe with them having enough time to rest, being on equal rest as the Lakers, for a number of reasons. I like the Denver Nuggets on the money line tonight. You can bet on players' minutes on Prize Picks. Cody, talk about hitting that vein pretty hard if you're betting on players' minutes. Because, by the way, if you like a blowout, that could be so cool that you're picking like a Peyton Pritchard in a blowout Celtics game, or like a Hauser or something like that. Man, sports betting in this country is going into some crazy places, people. Gotta shout it out. Appreciate all of you guys joining us, watching us. Want to make sure I hit up and hook up Jorge with a question here on TikTok Live. I believe it was Jorge, is asking about AD over 3.5 blocks plus steals. Anthony Davis over 3.5 blocks plus steals. Let's check it out. Davis. And we're looking at blocks. Blocks plus steals. The over 3.5 has the lesser implied probability. By the way, Top Dog, I'll get to your question in just 1 second. The over has the lesser implied probability. The trend is an interesting one here. The trend's an interesting one for me because you're seeing it's been a strong play over the course of the playoffs. But in the 2 of the last 3 games, it hasn't hit. So it's hard for me because Anthony Davis, and I'm just going to say now, I'm avoiding this play because Anthony Davis has been so inconsistent for me that unless I was getting a good string of it, 4 games in a row, something like that, I'm going to avoid it. I don't have the idea of him getting the blocks, but in reality, he's going up against Jokic. It's a much more difficult assignment for him. I liked him getting the blocks against Draymond Green, a smaller player, Steph Curry trying to drive into the paint. The Denver Nuggets don't play this way. The Denver Nuggets are not the kind of team that drive into the paint with guards the same way that maybe the Golden State Warriors do. What do? They put Jokic with the ball at the nail or at the elbow, and they have him facilitate. I think that makes it much harder for Davis to get the blocks. So I would avoid this play because, and when I say I avoid it, I really like the under, maybe more, but I'm not confident enough on it. So I would just avoid the play altogether. But that answers the question from YouTube. Top Dog watching on YouTube, appreciate you. You're asking about Brady Singer over 2.5 earned runs. We talked about that game a little bit earlier. We're not crazy about runs in that game because it is the worst, according to ballparkpal.com, the worst game in terms of weather. But we did like the Padres in that game, and we did, Brady Singer's got, I believe it's like a 7.7 ERA, if I'm remembering it correctly. So jumping back over into that game, or you're asking about a prop. So let's ask about that. Brady Singer, earned runs over 2.5. The over 2.5 is going off at 56% implied probability. I'll always mention I like it. If it's above 55, I like it. Not only is it a good consistent play over the course of 10 games, the time he was under that, it was against the White Sox. Not a good offense, and it was at home. Arizona, sure, it was on the road, but not a great offense. I know they were hitting better then. But over 2.5 earned runs, yeah, I think so. Look at how. Here's the only issue. Not a great sample size in terms of hitters in the Padres lineup against him. But if I don't care about that and I care more about how he's done this year, he's pitched almost 40 innings and he's giving up 7.7 runs per 9. That tells you what you need to know. Yeah, I would take the over 2.5 runs. I would take the over. I know there's not supposed to be a lot of runs scored in this game, but I could see the Padres, at least in the time Singer's out there, in the first 5 innings, scoring 3 runs. Okay, Andrew, you're asking about Anthony Santander. So I actually really like that play. I even considered Santander as one of our home run picks of the day. But yes, I do like Santander on his total bases. He has a favorable matchup today with the pitcher. He's also been hitting really well of late. Santander has really come on strong. So over bases today, I believe that's what you were asking about, was over bases. Yeah, over total bases. There you can just see he had the home run yesterday. Maybe actually not as hot a trend as I thought. He has good matchup against the pitcher he's facing today. It's part of the reason I liked it. But, okay, maybe not as hot. That Pittsburgh series kind of got to him. Did not have 3 good games in that one, but if I shift over, Santander's 2 for 2 against him. So, I know that's a small sample size, but I like the fact he's 2 for 2. I like the fact that he had a home run yesterday. I like it. Stephen Pock, do I think Anthony Davis can make a 3 tonight? I looked at that bet earlier, but that actually was one that I was thinking about taking the under on it. We can reset and we can look at it really quick. Looking at 3-pointers for Anthony Davis. So the over, here's why I looked at it earlier and I thought about going against it. The over has an implied probability of 26%. 26%. You want me to double down on it? Anthony Davis has failed to exceed half a 3-pointer made, or a 3-pointer made, in 16 of his last 18 games after a win. It's just not a good play, not a good one. The under you could get at minus 360. Not that I would take the under, but the whole point is I wouldn't touch it. I know you may get drawn into being like, oh, I can get it at plus 280 odds. Nah, not a ticket I want to go chasing. We have kind of our rules here about betting and how to avoid chasing money or chasing bets. That is a home run bet. That is like betting that Aaron Judge is going to hit a home run tonight. I'd rather bet Aaron Judge to hit a home run than Anthony Davis to make a 3-pointer. And if I'm putting down the same amount of units, I actually like my Aaron Judge on probability. So for those reasons, that's kind of one of the reasons why I'm saying fade this, go towards something else. Okay, got another question on YouTube. Caesar, appreciate you joining us. Look forward to talking to you later, Caesar. Caesar hit us up and actually asked about, I mentioned, if any of you guys love talking sports and want to get into sports media, but Fumble Sports is building a community where we want to help you guys out. If you love talking about sports, we want to give you guys the opportunity, the platform to make your voices heard. A lot of you guys like Alexander, Jorge, One Big Deal 22, Cody, a number of you guys have picks, you guys have takes of your own. I'd love to get those. Hit us up. DM us. We're more than happy to talk to you about opportunities to get your voice heard and be a part of the conversation. Anyways, going back to Caesar's question, do I like Jamal Murray over 24.5 points? We looked at this a little bit earlier, but we were looking at it points plus, I think it was points plus rebounds or points plus assists. But let's just look at Murray on the points alone. So implied probability at 24.5 points is 55%. I like that 3 out of the last 4 games he's hit. Even the game that was the blowout that he was getting less time on the floor towards the end, he still hit that. I like that. Now, the problem is in the head-to-head against the Lakers, it's only hit once. Now, again, This is against the Lakers pre-trade deadline, so we got to take this with a massive grain of salt. May not be a good indication. I like that he's hit it in 3 of his last 5 games. Oops. I like that he's hit it in 9 of his last 10. That's what really stands. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. That's the wrong number. It was 24.5. So he's hit it. He's hit it 6 out of his last 10. But really, what I like is he's really turned it on. You just see in this Phoenix series, he really turned it on. 4 out of the 6. I like Jamal Murray at 25 or more points tonight. That's how I would take it. So I do like Murray over on the points. It's the other stuff, rebounds, assists. That I might not like as much, but I do like him scoring tonight. I think we are going to see bubble Jamal Murray in the series more than we're going to see kind of regular season Jamal Murray. Andrew, anyone know what platform he's doing his research on? I can tell you. It's called Outlier. It's Outlier. It's a great sports betting app, great tool. If you want to set a free 7-day trial for it, DM us on TikTok, Instagram, or on Twitter. We'll hook you up with a free 7-day trial, send you a link. It's Outlier. It's a great sports betting tool. Personally, I think it's the best one out there in terms of getting my data, but maybe more importantly, and you'll hear me talk about this a lot, I can do this comparison shopping. There are the different sports books, so for each bet, I can find which bet actually offers the best odds, and that way I'm not just finding the research, I'm also finding the best place and the best book to get the bet. So Andrew, if you want a free link to it, hit us up, Fumble Sports on TikTok, Instagram, and Sports Fumble on Twitter. Big shout out to all of you guys who are watching. Make sure you're hitting that follow button. Make sure you're hitting that follow button. If you want to get more of our favorite picks, hit that like button as well. What are we at in terms of likes? What do we need to get to? Are we going for 8,000 likes? Once we get to 8,000 likes, we'll give out another one of our favorite picks of the day. Or once we were trying to get to our live goal, so if you hit that confetti, we'll give out another one of our picks of the day. IP Shade 45, you know the rule, you know the play, and of course, IP Shade 45 not only hits the confetti, but allows us to immediately give out one of our favorite bets of the day. Cody, we'll get to your question in just a minute, but we got to give out a pick because IP Shade 45 is delivering for everybody. This is one we're going to take a player prop bet. Lars Nootbaar, if you're not familiar with him, talented outfielder for the St. Louis Cardinals, played on the Team Japan in the World Baseball Classic. Really talented young player. We like Lars Nootbaar over 1.5 hits plus runs plus RBIs. We're taking that at plus money, plus 115. The reason we like this bet so much today, the reason we like this Lars Nootbaar bet, is Nootbaar has exceeded 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs in 9 of his last 10 games. We've seen the Cardinals' offense really come alive over the last 4 or 5 games. He often hits at the top of it. He's a really talented hitter. I know he's facing Wade Miley today. Miley has struggled at times this year. So with that said, I really like Lars Nootbaar today. Again, one of our favorite picks of the day. Giving that one out because IP Shade 45 hit that confetti and helped us with our live goal. Every time we get that confetti hit and get closer on our live goal, we'll give out another pick, as well as once we hit 8,000 likes, we'll give out another pick. Cody, you're asking about Domingo Germán, 15.5 pitching outs. Let's check it out. 15.5 pitching outs for Domingo Germán. Prop bet finder, baseball has an implied probability. You gotta love that. Now, let's go to some of his other plays just to see what it's at. I want to see his rebounds. That's really what I want to see. I want to see rebounds and assists. So rebounds, 12.5. 12.5 is the strong play. So if we're just doing some math, 12.5 is the strong play. Let's continue to look at it. Assists. This is where the double-double may fail you. The implied probability for over 10.5 assists, 39. 9.5, 55. So you're really living on the edge. They're really feeling like it's going to be 9 or 10. So where you're going to be sweating is the assists, not the points and not the rebounds. But what I would say is, Frankie, I don't think it's a bad bet. Especially, Frankie, what are the odds you're getting on that? At the sports book that you saw that, Frankie, what were the odds you got on it? Because I'd be really interested. If you're getting really good plus odds, I'd take it, because the likelihood, the only reason I'm not crazy about it is because of the assists. But I think he's going to get a double-double with points and rebounds. So then you're just worried about, can the shooters really of Denver knock down the three-pointers that he's setting up when he's passing? So if you do, I don't hate it. Top Dog, so appreciate your support. Thank you so much for being a part of this community. Top Dog was just saying on YouTube, love how you interact with the community. I just love how interactive you guys are. You guys engage with us. We're just talking sports here on TikTok Live, YouTube, and Instagram Live. It's you guys who really make the show. You guys ask the questions. A couple people have asked me off air, how would I describe our show? And I think of it as like Mad Money on CNBC, but for sports betting and fantasy. And just like Jim Cramer, my show's made better by you guys asking questions, being engaged, really wanting some great information. So it's all a credit to you guys, this unbelievable community that we have. That's what makes this show so much fun. Frankie, you're getting it at minus 104. That's not great, actually. I thought you were going to get it at plus odds. I thought it was going to be closer to like plus 110, plus 115. At minus 104, I actually don't like it that much because the implied probability on assists is under. So, Frankie, I understand if you want to take it as a fun bet, but in terms of my confidence around it, not nearly as high as it should be. Speaking of confidence, once we get to 10,000 likes, we'll do our confidence level. By the way, there you go. Jacob Potter, great call. You got it at plus 110 on DraftKings. That's the spot. So, Frankie, getting some help from another member of the Butt Fumble Sports community. If you can get it at plus odds, if you can get it at the plus 110, plus 115, that's where I'd take it. That's where the risk is worth the reward. If you're getting at minus 104, as crazy as it sounds, even that little dip, I feel like that's Vegas's way of trying to lure you in for the trap. I want it at the plus money. Okay, we just hit 8,000 likes. Like I was about to say, once we hit 10,000 likes, we'll give out our confidence level about each one of our bets today. I know some of you guys are like, hey, I heard those confidence levels yesterday and those didn't come through. But normally our confidence levels have done pretty well, so we'll play it out another round. But before we do, because we hit 8,000 likes, we have another pick to give out. So everybody, get ready. We have another one of our favorite picks to give out for today's show. Here we go. We are going to go with Jorge Polanco. Jorge Polanco over half a base. Jorge Polanco over half a base. We're getting this at minus 140. I was really surprised when I saw this. Jorge Polanco, Minnesota Twins player, really good hitter. I know he's going up against Clayton Kershaw, but Polanco has over half a base in 3 straight games, 8 of his last 10. Again, over half a base. I love this play today, so I'm going with Jorge Polanco over half a base, minus 140. Alexander, by the way, love hearing your picks and sharing them with the audience. So if you guys want to do what Alexander just did, throw your bets in the chat. That way, first of all, I'll read them aloud. Other people can hear them. Second of all, obviously this show is recorded. If you guys want to then circle back and track yourselves, we can over time. But if you want to throw your picks in the comment section, more than happy to share them with the audience. Alexander's one of our most loyal, dedicated viewers. Alexander, big shout out to you. Appreciate you. And he has his picks today, so let's hear what they are. Alexander, my bets today are over in the Dodgers game and over in the Mets game. Interesting. Let's look at it really quick because I'm curious to know how I feel about those. Okay, the over in the Dodgers game. Interesting. The weather suggests that the unders may be a slightly stronger play just because the wind's blowing out to dead center. Just a note. I'm not necessarily saying I hate on the play, but just something to note. As for the Mets game, the over actually might be a decent play in this one. Wind blowing out to right center. What's interesting about this is a really low game in terms of the total because Justin Verlander is on the mound going up against Jalen Beeks. But I actually think there could be opportunities for Tampa Bay to score in this game. So I'm kind of leaning with you, Alexander, on the over in the Mets Tampa Bay game. Not one I would bet, but one I have my eye on in terms of how it ultimately goes if our predictions are kind of right. As for the money line, Alexander has the Astros on the money line. Astros on the money line against the Cubs. I like that play. Obviously with Christian Javier on the mound, like it. And you also like Milwaukee against St. Louis. I'm not as crazy about that one, only because I don't like betting on Wade Miley. Wade Miley has stats that make me want to fade him rather than follow him. But that said, those are Alexander's picks. Appreciate all of those who are watching. If you guys who are watching want to share your picks with other viewers, throw them in the comment section. More than happy to shout you guys out, give out the picks that other viewers are watching, and that way the community can know how each other are doing all together. Could be a lot of fun. By the way, also, if you want, throw your comments in the chat. Yeah, IP Shade 45. That's exactly right. Wade Miley. Stats have not been good of late. Yep, that's exactly right. By the way, would love to know who's watching and from where. So if you want to throw in your location where you're watching from, it's always fun to see where you guys are watching from. I always get a kick out of hearing that we have people from all over the country, all over the world. So whether you're watching on YouTube or on TikTok, make sure you throw those locations in there. Would love to see it. Frankie, we looked at Javier 7.5 strikeouts earlier. What I would say is, yes, I'm cool with the 7.5 over on strikeouts. 6.5 I love. We looked at it a little bit earlier. 6.5 we love. 7.5 we feel pretty strongly about. He's been on a really good heater in terms of getting over that number, but also has good stats against the Chicago hitters, so for a number of reasons. So Alexander's coming from California. One big deal, 22's coming from Iowa. Hey, is that heaven? No, it's Iowa. So appreciate all of those who are watching, no matter where you are. So cool. So cool. Jacob is coming from Virginia. IP Shade 45, as expected with that Raiders logo, is coming from California. Appreciate all of those who are watching. You guys are an unbelievable audience. Appreciate those who are so loyal and make us a part of your day every single day. We have now been on live for an hour and 23 minutes. We still have about a half hour, 35 minutes left of the show. So make sure you throw your comments and questions in the chat. For those who are watching on YouTube, Caesar just wrote in the comment section, I like the under in the Dodgers-Twins game. Bad due for a bad day. The weekend till today, they've been getting too many runs. Okay, so Caesar likes the under in the Dodgers-Twins game, so you're on the other side of Alexander on that one. And you like strikeouts for Clayton Kershaw. I like that play as well. We talked about that one earlier. Top Dog, you're watching in Washington, D.C. Top Dog, are you a Commanders fan? How do you feel about the new ownership? Would love to know. By the way, IP Shade 45, okay, you're coming from SoCal, not from NoCal. Interesting. Caesar coming from Brooklyn. The Borough. Appreciate all of those who are watching, no matter where you're watching. Unbelievable community that we have. I hope you guys know how much that we appreciate you and the time that you guys take out of your day to watch our show. If you guys have any questions about the picks today, anything that you guys want to go over, more than happy to dive into them. Again, Every time we get a gift for our live goal, which is confetti, we're going to add another one of our favorite picks of the day, as well as when we hit every 2,000 likes, we've ramped it up because you guys were hitting that like button so well over the last few days that we had to ramp it up. We gave out a pick for 8,000 likes, so we are standing by ready to give out more picks whenever you're ready. By the way, one big deal 22, I couldn't agree with you more. I think the two worst owners in professional sports are Dan Snyder, one. Dan Snyder was one. And I think James Dolan is number two. James Dolan's not going anywhere, so New York Knicks fans, get used to it. But I think it's a wonderful thing that Dan Snyder's out. I'm not a big fan of Jim Irsay as well. A number of my friends who are Colts fans know how I feel about Jim Irsay. But he's not nearly as bad. I just think he's kind of a buffoon. But he's not nearly as bad as Dan Snyder, who's actually, a terrible human being. So, IP Shade 45 is asking about, do you like anyone from the Twins to get a hit on Kershaw? Well, yeah, I like Jorge Polanco. So Jorge Polanco, the Twins player, I like that play. That was the player in that Twins game that actually I had my eye on. Jorge is asking about Lonnie Walker. Lonnie Walker on the over. Also got a question in from YouTube about Anthony Davis over on rebounds. Let's dive into those. Also, Cody's asking about D'Angelo Russell plus 4.5 assists. So it looks like a lot of you guys want to dive into that Lakers-Nuggets game and get some player prop bets on that. So let's dive into it. I'll start with the Anthony Davis rebounds. We'll start with that one and go around the horn. Anthony Davis, over 12.5 rebounds. Implied probability 58%. Certainly love that. However, here's a trend that doesn't bode well. Anthony Davis has failed to get 14.5 rebounds in 16 of his last 24 games. Not a great trend. And looking at it, it's been pretty hit or miss as well over the last 5 games. So actually not a bet that I'm really confident in. And part of the reason for that is 1, Jokic, 2, Anthony Gordon. 2 guys who are good rebounders. They're going to be physical down low. I think Anthony Davis, be wary of him in this series, especially early on. He's not going up against Looney and Draymond Green like he was in the last series. He is now going to be challenged physically in ways that he was challenging the opponent in the previous series. So I would avoid this play. I wouldn't touch Anthony Davis over 12.5. Part of the reason is I actually want the data. Because these two teams haven't played each other since before the trade deadline, I want to use game 1 as an opportunity to really evaluate bets I'll make, for games 2 and beyond. This is one where I don't want to bet Anthony Davis over 12.5 rebounds. I want to watch this game, see if I could pick up some indicators. Maybe if he plays well, I like it for game 2. But for all of those watching tonight, again, the data that we have about these two teams is skewed. It's not really pure kosher data. Because of that, you may want to wait on some of your bets for tonight, hold on to your capital, wait and watch, and then bet in game 2. That's actually a recommendation I would make. Game 1 of a series, we talk a lot about it. It's like a first round or a second round of a boxing fight where they're just feeling each other out. They're not throwing the haymakers yet. They're feeling each other out. I don't want to bet on a feel it out round. I want to bet on a knockout round. So for that said, tonight might be one where you put your money to the side, you don't bet too much, you look for opportunities on really good plays, but on something like this where the confidence isn't that high, just wait. Maybe game 2 is the better opportunity to bet this one. Okay, we're going to look at Lonnie Walker over points. Lonnie Walker over on points. I'll shift to points. Let's look at Walker. So over on points, 8.5 over. The implied probability actually has a 53% chance of hitting. I like that because the implied probability on that is actually better than the under. So a couple reasons that stands out. He's been shooting really well. I've just been impressed by his shooting. This is a trend I like. So while Anthony Davis on rebounds, I'm fading. I'm not really touching it. I actually like this trend. He's become more involved in the offense. He's become more confident in his shooting ability. He's hit over the 8.5 points consistently over his last 5 games. I feel better about Lonnie Walker. I did talk yesterday about one reason I may be concerned about like a Michael Porter Jr. is the 3-point shooting defense of the Lakers. I don't feel that same way about the Denver Nuggets. I think the Lakers could have some opportunities to score from three-point range. So whether it's Austin Reeves or Lonnie Walker, I like both of those players over their three-point shooting totals tonight. And it's one of the reasons I actually like Lonnie Walker over 8.5 points. I'd take that over 8.5 points at minus 113. Appreciate all of you guys joining us. Make sure you're hitting that follow button. And of course, make sure you hit that like button. Once we get 10,000 likes, not only will we give out another pick, we will put our confidence level to every pick we've given out. So hit that like button. Let's get up to 10,000 likes. Yeah, Dave, One Big Deal 22, couldn't agree more. Davis will be fighting Joker for rebounds. And again, I think that's a matchup where physically, Davis is the weaker one. Davis is the one who's overmatched. He hasn't had that experience over the course of the last 2 playoff rounds. It will be the case in this one. So I think Anthony Davis might be getting a rude awakening. Cody, you're asking about D'Angelo Russell on assists. Let's go look at it. D'Angelo Russell on his assist total. And you were taking the over on that and feeling pretty confident about it. You were taking over 4.5. Interesting. Implied probability, 62%. Certainly love that. Like I said, anytime we get it over 55, 60%, we're gaga for that. So, let's dive into it. Oh, this is a reverse, though. The trends have been fading away from it. So I'm not going to touch it. Again, this is one where the implied probability is high, but I'm not going to touch it because the trends are going in the other direction. Again, this is one where I'll take note of it, Cody, for Game 2. If he performs well in Game 1 and gets over 4.5 assists, maybe I then have my eye on it for Game 2. But I'm not going to touch this one because it has been one to fade. And part of the reason I actually think it's been a bet that's been fading in terms of popularity is because of Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves is getting more time as the ball handler, the primary ball handler, putting the ball out of D'Angelo Russell's hands, which means he's more spot-up shooter, less facilitator. I think that may impact, even if it's 1 or 2 assists per game, that may be enough to impact this total. I wouldn't touch it, Cody. I'd avoid it. Getting a question in from YouTube, do I like LeBron James over 34.5 points plus rebounds? Let's take a look at it. LeBron James, I want to make sure I didn't have this one. LeBron James. Okay, LeBron James rebounds and points. Let's look at it. Points plus rebounds. LeBron James. Okay. Points plus rebounds. Are you looking at asking the question to the viewer on YouTube? You were asking about over 34.5. Over 34.5. So let's dive into over 34.5. So the under has an implied probability at 34.5 of 54%. Tells you something right there. Over 34.5, 51% implied probability. Interesting. Here's a stat that you'll like, though. James has exceeded 34.5 points plus rebounds in 8 of his last 10 games on the road against a top 10 scoring defense. So that trend suggests it's a good play. I actually like that one for a couple reasons. One, on the road. LeBron James on the road. You figure he's going to have to be more involved offensively and on the glass. Caesar, was that your question? Good question, Caesar. Loved it. So LeBron James, that's a really strong trend. Let's look at it over the last 10 games overall. Less of a strong trend here. What I do like is when the Lakers turned it on. When the Lakers really turned it on late in that series, in the 2 wins on the back end, LeBron James delivered in that way. And by the way, this is one where, again, I don't really want to bet it for Game 1. I kind of want to watch Game 1 and take notes and then use that as research for Game 2 bets. But I'm curious, if Anthony Davis has a tough rebounding matchup against Jokic, does that make rebounds for LeBron James more likely or less likely? Does LeBron James feel like he actually needs to crash the glass more because Anthony Davis now has to battle Jokic, and so those rebounds that maybe Davis wasn't collecting, does LeBron James get them? Something I heard earlier as well on ESPN, and this goes to the question of points. The best half-court defender against LeBron James in the NBA over the last 3 years is Aaron Gordon. When I heard that stat, it was really surprising to me, but I heard it from J.J. Redick, and I really trust J.J. Redick in terms of his research. Aaron Gordon, statistically, is the best half-court defender against LeBron James over the last 3 years. Really interesting note. So, again, when it comes to points plus rebounds, LeBron James over might not be a good play. I definitely sit out that bet for Game 1 and evaluate whether you want to look at it for Game 2. How about D'Angelo Russell over points and assists? Let's look at it. Somebody's a big D'Angelo Russell fan, or at least looking at ways to get on his good side with some prop bets. D'Angelo Russell, you were asking about points plus assists. Points plus assists, is there a certain number you had it at? To the question on YouTube, was there a certain number you took it at? I'll certainly say this. Over 18.5, going off at 66% probability. Love that. Obviously, like we showed a moment ago, that hasn't been as strong a play over the Golden State Warriors series. And again, part of what concerns me is Austin Reeves may be cutting into this. Fewer opportunities with the ball for Russell. So, again, I might want to use Game 1 as an evaluation period. But that said, it's been a strong play over his last 10. Last 10 games, it's going off at 70%. Over his last 20 games, it's going off at 70%. So, I'll certainly say this to the question on YouTube. I feel more confident about D'Angelo Russell points plus assists than I do about just assists on its own. I still think he could be a spot-up shooter. I think he can knock down some threes. But, so the total you were getting it at was 23.5. How is that? 23.5 points plus assists? Nah, don't do that. That's a bad bet. If you're taking over 23.5 points plus assists for D'Angelo Russell, is D'Angelo Russell going off? I wouldn't touch that. I would not touch that bet. I'm more than happy to be wrong on that one tomorrow, but wouldn't touch it. Okay, Cody's got a bad question for us about an MLB player prop bet. Again, guys, once we hit 10,000 likes, let's get up to 10,000 likes so we can do our confidence level on all of our bets. And also, give us the gift of that confetti. Help us out with our live goal. That way we can give out some more of our favorite bets of the day. But let's get to 10,000 likes so we can give out our confidence level on all of our favorite picks. So Cody is asking about Emmanuel Rivera. Emmanuel Rivera. And Cody, you were asking about IP Shade 45. Thanks for coming through with the confetti. I'll get to that pick in 1 second. Going Emmanuel Rivera, Cody over 1.5 runs plus. So the over. Interesting. The over has an implied probability of 58%. Hasn't been as strong a play over the last couple of games. Interesting. But I think they really like the matchup against Muller. Against left-handed pitching, this is a trend this is one of the reasons I like it. Cody, this is a good play. Cody, this is a good play. And the reason I like it, Emmanuel Rivera, he's hitting well against left-handed pitching. I like it. Cody, I'd go with it. He's facing a bad pitcher. He's facing a left-handed pitcher. He hits left-handed pitching well. I'd go with it, Cody. Over 1.5 runs, hits, RBIs for Emmanuel Rivera. I like it. Okay, so IP Shade 45 hooked us up with that confetti to help us out with our live goal. Like I promise, every time someone does that, we give out one of our favorite bets of the day. So here we go. I want to make sure you guys can see it up on the screen. Here are our favorite bets of the day so far. Again, once we hit 10,000 likes, I'll give out my confidence level for each one of these bets. But we're not quite there yet. So before we do, we're going to give out another one of our favorite bets of the day. For this one, we will go with a bet for tonight's NBA game. We're going to go with LeBron James, but we're going to go over half a block. LeBron James over half a block. We're taking that at minus 160. LeBron James over half a block. And here's the big one for me. LeBron James has gone over half a block in 11 of his last 12 games after a win. I just think LeBron's going to be I think he's going to be engaged. I think LeBron James, out of every player in this game, is going to be the one who's the most dialed in. I'm expecting him defensively to play a factor. So for a number of reasons, I love this bet. LeBron James over half a block at -160. Jared, good to see you today. Hope you're having a great day. You were looking at Jokic, James, and Davis to score 5 points in the first quarter. I don't believe I have a lot of good data on that. I might be wrong, though. Let's see if we can, on the Outlier app, do that. So let's go Jokic. And you want first quarter points. So Jokic first quarter points we like. The implied probability is really strong. The trend is really strong. You're asking about over 5 points or more in this case. So because the 5 would be a push, which wouldn't hurt you. Obviously, it means the bet may not cash, but you wouldn't lose it either. You just get your money back. So, okay, Jokic we like. Let's go with that one first. By the way, Alexander, I think you're right as well. It's one of the reasons I'm actually not crazy about him on points. Alexander, I think that's a good call. Really good call, Alexander. So anyways, we're looking at Jared's question about Jokic. We like him on four assists or 4 points or more in the first quarter. Let's go to Anthony Davis now. Anthony Davis, same question. The implied probability over 6.5 points, 52%. That's been a strong play. So over 4, you're saying 5 points rather. 5 points. Over 5 points, that's hit consistently for Davis. LeBron James is the last one. Let's look at LeBron. 5.5, 6, 6.5. Okay, the only one that's a risk is LeBron James. And again, the risk is LeBron James. 2 out of the last 4, he hasn't hit it. And if Alexander's right, that may be part of the reason. Jared, I don't hate it at +130. I actually think it's a really smart bet at +130. If you were getting this at even odds, I wouldn't like it. But I love it at +130. So Jared, I would go with it. I'm not going to put it up on our board, but I like it. L. Chappers, over under 38.5 minutes played for LeBron. Let's go look at LeBron James. I don't think we get minutes on here. I don't think I can look up minutes on the Outlier app. No, I can't. So I'm going to look at LeBron James' stats overall. LeBron James. Okay, looking at his stats. We're going to look at game log. 40. Okay. See, this is the one thing about this bet that has me slightly concerned. L. Chappers, the reason I'm not crazy about the over 35, I would lean slightly towards the under, actually. And the reason I say that is, I think that unlike the Warriors series, where the Lakers knew they had an opportunity to win Game 1 on the road, I think the Lakers are very aware that the likelihood that they win this game is lower. And so I think that Darvin Ham wants to manage LeBron James's minutes, knowing that he's going to have to backload this series with a lot of LeBron James. LeBron James in games 4 through 7, if it goes that far, he's going to be playing 42, as you can see here, 40, 42, 45 minutes a game. So I almost think in game 1, Darvin Ham may play him less, thinking that, the likelihood that the Lakers actually steal a win is lower. That is conjecture. I'm going off the stats, but I will admit this isn't one I have a strong statistical or trend on. This is my evaluation. L. Chappers, I definitely don't want you to place a bet based off of just purely my opinion. The trend suggests that later in the series is when you can see those minute totals go up. But 38.5, I'd lean slightly towards the under on it. By the way, curious to know what you guys think. In the comments section, do you guys think over or under 38.5 minutes for LeBron? Just kind of a quick poll. Would love to know what you guys think. Over or under 38.5 minutes for LeBron? Throw your comment in the chat. Alexander, per usual, is going to fade us. You're going to go with the over. Jared's taking the under. Curious to know what you guys think. Over or under on LeBron James, 38.5 minutes. IP Shade 45 is going over. Okay. By the way, more than happy for you guys to go against us. I'm not saying I have a good analysis on this one. Over, under 38.5 minutes for LeBron. Throw your answer in the chat. Top Dog on YouTube's asking about Wade Miley. Alexander, you're absolutely right, by the way. The Lakers, I will say this. The Lakers need to come out fighting. Jared has a great point, actually. Thinner air in Denver. Great point. But that's a really interesting one. The thinner air in Denver, you wonder if that just means he's going to get a few more opportunities on the bench to catch his breath if Darvin Ham wants to get him more acclimated for the conditions in Denver. Do not overlook that one. Jared actually brought up maybe what could be the great factor. Really interesting, actually. Really interesting. Okay. Look at his game ones from the past 2 series, Caesar's asking. So Caesar, in game 1 of the last series, he did go over. And in game 1 of the first series, he did not, though. So interestingly enough, the trend has gone in different directions. I actually think Jarrett brought up a really interesting point in how the thinner air of Denver could actually impact it. So really interested. Top Dog's going with the under 38. Interesting to get the reaction from you guys. Had a lot of fun doing that. Okay, we've got 15 minutes left of our show. Let's make sure we hit 10,000 likes, and that way we can give out our confidence level for all of our picks. Of course, hit that confetti button as well. Every time we get confetti, we'll give out a pick. Top Dog was asking about Wade Miley. Top Dog on YouTube was asking about Wade Miley over 3 strikeouts. Let's dive into that one really quick. Strikeouts for Wade Miley. I just put in Wiley. No, it's Miley. Wade Miley. 3.5. The over is the implied probability suggests the under is the better play in this one. Yeah, 3.5. He's not hitting this. Nope. No. I would avoid Wade Miley over 3.5 strikeouts. I wouldn't touch it. I know you're asking about 3 strikeouts, but I wouldn't touch it because even right now, I'm seeing the push is the more likely outcome. I wouldn't touch it. No. We just hit 10,000 likes. You guys are absolutely awesome. Appreciate you guys hitting that like button as many times as you have. So because of that, we will both give you a pick as well as give out our confidence level on all of our picks. So guys, make sure you're paying attention, and that way you guys know exactly where our confidence level is for all of our plays today. But before we do, we will hand out another one of our favorite bets of the day. We are going to go to that Guardians-White Sox series, and we're going to go with Jose Ramirez, and we're going to go with over 1.5 hits plus runs plus RBIs. Jose Ramirez has owned Lance Lynn in his career. 32 at-bats, 11 hits, 344 average rather, 4 home runs, 2 doubles, 8 RBIs. I talked about how every day we're going to give out a couple bets for our players that we think could hit a home run. Jose Ramirez is someone we've got our eye on. Vlad Guerrero Jr., Anthony Santander, and Jose Ramirez are 3 guys we have our eye on for home runs. I'll put that down in the comment section or the chat in just a minute. But Jose Ramirez, over 1.5. We're getting that at minus 125. And again, we'll put this up. Home run picks. I'll just say Jose Ramirez, Vlad Guerrero Jr. I haven't done the odds on this. That's why I'm throwing it up kind of hastily, but Vlad Guerrero Jr. and Anthony Santander. I don't have the odds for this one. I don't really want to include these every day in our bets unless I feel really strongly about them, but I do want to give out those who have done the research, and if I had to, who would I pick to hit home runs? So those are the 3 at the bottom. Obviously, my confidence level on those are a little bit down, so for that reason, just be mindful of that. But our confidence level on the picks above, we're going to go through right now. Nuggets on the money line, I feel really strongly about. I feel 65-70% confidence level on, which for me in a basketball game like this is pretty high because I actually think most of these games are kind of nip and tuck. I think the Nuggets are a strong play today. Lakers Nuggets on the over, that one I'm at like 55%. It's been a really strong play in terms of the trends, but it's a little risky. And I understand that because will the Lakers play better defense? Will there be some missed shots, with a couple days off? How will teams be impacted? So for a number of reasons, I am a bit hesitant on that overplay. I did put it out, again, 55% confidence level. Padres on the money line, my confidence level for that one I would say is at about 75%. Royals, Padres under 8.5. I'd put my confidence level again at around 75-70%. Vlad Guerrero Jr. over 1.5 bases. On that one, I'm at about like 60% confidence level. He has 3 hits lifetime against Domingo Germán, all of them extra base hits. That's why I like it, but he does have a 250 average against Germán, so I am wary of it. I'll put that at 55, maybe 60 at the highest. Christian Javier over 6.5 strikeouts. I'll put that confidence level at 65%. Has good numbers against the Cubs. I am a little wary of it because the Cubs have some good hitters, but I do like Javier in that one over 6.5 strikeouts. Again, 65% confidence level. Guardians, White Sox under 8.5. I'll put my confidence on that one at 70%. Yankees, Blue Jays over 8.5 runs. I'll put my confidence level on that at 60%. I know Kevin Gausman pitched well against the Yankees in his last time facing them. I feel like the Yankees, okay, they've now seen them. I think they'll hit better. Dennis Schroeder over half a steal plus a block. I'll put that at 75% confidence level. That's been a really strong trend. Rangers plus 1.5 on the run line. I'll take that at 60% confidence level. Lars Nootbaar over 1.5 hits plus runs plus RBIs. I'll put that at 60%, 65% confidence level. Jorge Polanco over half a base. I'll put that, he's going up against Kershaw. I'll put that at 65%. I actually feel better about that despite the pitching matchup. LeBron James over half a block. I'll put that at a 70% confidence level. And Jose Ramirez over 1.5 hits plus runs plus RBIs. I'm going to put that at a 75% confidence level. Has some great numbers against Lance Lynn. And again, we want to give out advice for who we think could hit a home run tonight. I haven't done the research in terms of the odds, but 3 hitters who have really good numbers against the pitcher they're facing and have been starting to hit him much better. Ramirez, Guerrero Jr., and Santander are 3 hitters that I could see going deep tonight. Appreciate all of you guys joining us. Make sure you're hitting that follow button. Make sure you follow Butt Fumble Sports. That way you know every time that we go live. We are live every single day for 2 hours. Today we've been live for 1 hour and 50 minutes already. It's amazing how quickly our shows go by. The audience that we have, I just got to give a big shout out to all of you guys. Unbelievable how loyal you guys are, how committed you are, and how much fun we have. The comments, the questions, you guys are great. If you have any more questions that you want answered over the next 10 minutes, make sure you throw those in the comment section, whether on YouTube or on TikTok. We had some difficulty with our Instagram live broadcast today. My internet was failing a little bit, and I didn't want to slow us down on TikTok. So Instagram live we usually have up there, not as much today though. So that said, if you guys do have questions, we can give you some answers and do the research right in front of you. Alexander, does Giancarlo Stanton have a home run prop? He's about to smack. Is Stanton back? Is he officially back? That's 3 days ago. I don't know if... let's see if there are odds on him. I didn't know if Stanton was back or not. So let's check it out. Do I think the Lakers cover tonight? We're getting that question in from YouTube. By the way, Giancarlo Stanton is not back yet, unless he's not available. I can't see his stats or probabilities yet. To answer the question on YouTube, do I think the Lakers covered the spread? I don't tonight. I got the Nuggets at 5.5 the other day. I know that's maybe shifted now to 6, but I like the Nuggets to win and cover tonight, actually. Any player props on the Cincy-Colorado game that I really like? Okay, let's actually rip through that game a little bit, because I actually love that game for fantasy. That game has a lot of weather in its favor tonight, so you may want to double down and take that game not just in a DFS capacity, but also in a prop bet capacity. Again, look at the weather on this one. Home runs, probability is up 11%. Best of the night. Extra base hits up 21%. Second best of the night. Singles up 8%. I believe it's the third best of the night. And overall runs up 21%. Best bet of the night. Do I do a fantasy score for Ronald Acuna Jr.? Yes, I do like that. I do like that, Jorge. Yep, I do like it. He's been red hot, hitting the ball well. He's in a good situation tonight. So that said, this Reds-Rockies game, if I just look at it, what are some quick plays that we can get on it? Tovar, over 1.5 or under 1.5 bases, has a strong implied probability. But that's not where I want to look. I want to look towards the overs. Because the weather suggests the overs are the better play. Let's look at over on hits. By the way, this is a bet I love. Will Myers has a really good stat line. I'm going to put this one up on the board. I just want to get my info on this one. Will Myers against Chase Anderson has a .333 average, 15 at-bats lifetime, 5 hits. One of them was a home run, 2 doubles. I like this bet right here. The fact I can get it at -170 on DraftKings, I'm going to take this one right now. Let's put it up on the board. I want to add this one to our bets. This is going to be Will Myers over half a hit, and I'm getting that at, what was it, -170? Over half a hit for Will Myers, -170. Yeah, look at the implied probability is 63%. Love that play. Yes, to the question on YouTube, Rocky, Cincy, definitely take the over. I like the over in that. The weather is just telling you the over is a strong play in that one. Absolutely. So Will Myers over half a hit. I need to put the hit so we know what it is. Over half a hit at -170. Love I'm getting that at the -170. Didn't expect it to get it there. Thought it would be -200. LRK425, we looked at the Diamondbacks earlier. We like that one. We like the Diamondbacks tonight. Yep. If you've got questions, only a few more minutes of our show, so make sure you throw those questions in there. Again, looking at some other plays in this game. Let's go at hits, runs, and RBIs. I have my eye on Chris Bryant in this game as well. Will Myers over 1.5 is a pretty good play. There's Chris Bryant. Oh, it's over 2.5. I don't want Bryant at over 2.5. By the way, that should tell you what Vegas thinks of the offense. The fact that 2.5 is what they're setting his hits, runs, and RBIs at, that tells you all you need to know. There are going to be runs in that game. Can we get 1 or 2 for prize picks? L. Chappers, what are you asking about? For prize picks? I don't know prize picks. What about San Diego? I might have missed that one. We like San Diego as well. We like San Diego on the money line. Someone on YouTube's asking about Kyle Muller. Kyle Muller on strikeouts. Let's look at that really quick. Running out of time in the show, so we got to get to all these picks as quickly as we can. Get to the strikeouts. Muller. Kyle Muller. Oh, that's we want to reset it. That's why. Muller. I'm still not getting anything, so not getting any results. Yeah, not getting anything. So unfortunately, I can't help you out with that Kyle Muller like I want to. We can look at other stats, but can't use our outlier app in the same way. Kyle Muller, I don't think he has any real history. That's the problem. Yeah, no data we can really go off of. Just looking at his stats. Ks per 9, he's averaging less than 2. 1.3, or that's strikeouts per walks, my bad. I mean, still, it's worse than that. Yeah, I'm not about Muller. Muller's garbage. Do I have a subscription set up for TikTok? You guys should subscribe to our TikTok account, because once you guys subscribe, we actually have exclusive shows just for subscribers. So I would absolutely recommend that, Alexander. Gurriel over 1.5 bases. We only have 1 minute left of our show, so let's get to it really quick. Running out of time here. Running out of time for our show. Make sure you guys follow us. That way you know every time we go live. Oh, that's why. Okay, I screwed this up. We can find Muller. I screwed this up. Not an outlier mistake. It's my mistake. The under's the stronger play. Under strikeouts, to answer your question from YouTube from a moment ago that I screwed up, under for strikeouts is the stronger play. LRK425, we do like the Mariners on the money line. Alexander, what's our number one pick? Well, we actually have to answer this other question first, which was the Gurriel. Nuggets to win would probably be my number one play. So Gurriel, over 1.5 hits plus runs plus RBIs, I believe was what the question was about. Or you were asking about total bases. My bad. Total bases, over 1.5. Implied probability is at 51%. It's actually one of the reasons one of the reasons I leaped to this hits plus runs plus RBIs. To answer the question on YouTube, I actually like hits plus runs plus RBIs more for Gurriel. The implied probability is at 62%. I'm getting it at minus 160. I like that more than the total bases. So to answer the question on YouTube, I like that more than the total bases. India, over 1.5 bases. I like that play. Answering the question from YouTube, we just saw that in doing our research for the Rockies-Reds game. Over 1.5 total bases is a good play. LRK425 is going on a parlay. The one thing I'll say to all of you guys, be wary of parlays. You're going to hear me say this a lot. Vegas builds casinos off of your losing parlays. So make sure you guys are absolutely being careful with your parlays. Place those parlays in as individual bets as well. So that way, even if you miss on the parlay, you're still cashing and either covering your expenses or still coming out ahead. What site are you using it, and is it a subscription? Drew, yes, Outlier does require a subscription, but if you DM us on TikTok, Instagram, or on Twitter, we will give out a free link for a 7-day trial for Outlier, so DM us. Okay, really quickly, we're going to go to all of our favorite picks of the day. That way you can see them because we're just about to end our show. So for all of those who are watching, here you go. Here are all of our favorite picks of the day. Make sure you guys are joining us. Make sure you're following, subscribing. Definitely want to make sure you're following because that way you know every time we're live. We are live every single day for 2 hours. We're live. You never want to miss a chance to bet with us. Have so much fun talking with you. Appreciate all of you guys joining us. Make sure you're following. Make sure you're subscribing. Want to give a big shout out to our loyal viewers, Alexander, Drew 7382, Jorge, LRK425, Ryan, El Chappers, IP Shade 45, obviously. Appreciate you. Jacob, Candyman, Zips, thank you for the rose. Didn't catch that one earlier. Zips, thank you for the rose. Jared, great to see you in the chat. Great questions. Appreciate all of you guys joining us. Big shout out to Blease and those behind the scenes here at Butt Fumble Sports. We have so much fun bringing sports content to you. If you guys love talking sports and you want to make a part of your world, reach out to us, DM us. We can help you become sports on-air talent. All you have to do is have the balls and the nerve to come do it. So reach out to us, DM us, Butt Fumble Sports on TikTok, Instagram, and on YouTube, and Sports Fumble on Twitter. Make sure you guys are following us. Make sure you're with us every single day. Alexander, we do got to get our daily viewers up. We got to let others know about this great show that we do every day. I'm not worried. For me, this is a field of dreams. If we build it, they will come. Hopefully every day you guys make us a part of your entertainment. We certainly appreciate it. That's our show for the day. Hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Make sure you guys are watching tomorrow when we are live again. We are live tomorrow at 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock tomorrow. We are live at 1 p.m. tomorrow, 1 p.m. on Wednesday. So make sure you are with us tomorrow, 1 p.m. We will be live again.